So thank you for hopping on. And then obviously anyone that catches this later can watch the replay because I will have this uploaded in the Audacious page as well as my YouTube channel for anyone that wants to watch it. So tonight we're going over chapters 4 and 5 because I felt like they both were really good. So chapter 4 was talking about getting uncomfortable, which we preach all the time. And then chapter 5 was believing that everything is possible. So kind of what I'm going to do is everybody can kind of unmute. I'll like share at the end too. Everyone can get a chance to unmute and like talk about highlights from either both chapters or just one chapter that they felt like really stuck out to them and resonated with them, and that they felt like that's something that they're really going to really focus on this week and apply it into personal, business, and just all around. So whoever wants to start can take it away.
Well, I will if no one's going to talk. I'm going to focus on chapter 4 only because it's right where my life is right now, which is kind of getting uncomfortable with my pictures, which wasn't sure if today's was a little too provocative, but I thought, well, it's just like a bathing suit, so whatever. But it just stood out to me because it's right where I'm at in my life, or when my situation and my journey. I'm trying to get all this. Hold on, I'm about to drop it. I don't have a desk, so I'm trying to figure this out with my 3 journals. Anyways, it's just right where I'm at, and it stood out to me. It was like when I read it, I was like, oh wow. Because the more you get uncomfortable, I've noticed, and the more you educate yourself or learn, I guess you can say, in the business and in just in general with your life and within your journey, you do get more confident, and it does feel better to where you're like, okay, I can do the next thing and then the next thing and so on. Can't really get my words out right now, but it just hit me because I realized that I was stuck, as I said to you the other day in my Zoom, and I needed to do something different, and I needed to figure out what was I not doing, and try that. And it's funny because I see so much more interaction with people. I really can't believe that I get that much response from me putting up vulnerable pictures like that, but I guess you're building more of a relationship with these people, and I just wasn't realizing what they really wanted. So anyways, that, and then I've already read up to chapter 6, but sometimes it takes me a couple times to read it over again. That's why I like to have the book in my hand, because sometimes I don't always retain it right away. And I'm trying to get to it and I can't. Gosh, so sorry. And I kept thinking and believing or saying that I was believing that everything was possible, but I don't know that I was really feeling that it really was, even though nothing's really changed with my situation yet, but I think it will, because it takes time. And so everything in the process takes time. And that's what I meant by you have to give yourself grace. Because I always used to be the person that's like, I just said it, forget it. And it's like, oh, it already knows what I want. And it should, I shouldn't have to repeat it every day. And I shouldn't have to get uncomfortable. I did once. When you have to continue to do it, continue to get uncomfortable, continue to dig deeper. And yeah, sometimes I think it's silly and I do silly things, or I might sound dumb, but I'm like, you know what? Doesn't matter. That's how I'm feeling, and I'm authentic, and that's that. So when it says to laugh at the chapter about laughter, or the section about laughing at yourself, I'm like, yeah, that kind of relates to my life. And then believing in the impossible, although I had to downstream my dreams because I need to grow some more before I can get that far. And that's what I have to say.
Well, So I have to add on to like what you had to say. I actually wrote down something from chapter 4. It said, embrace your flaws and no one can use them against you. And that's something that like even before this book I've tried to like start implementing in my life, because just like we can't really change who we are. Well, we can change who we are, but like the thing is like, you know, the silly little habits and like the little like fallbacks and stuff, if we own them, then I mean, how can anyone hold it against us if we're just trying to grow from them? You know, I mean, who can really hold something against you that you're trying to grow with? Like, so anyway, just had to add on to what you said real quick.
Good.
Well, and to the limiting beliefs chapter, that's another thing. Like, right when I was doing my podcast and my soul searching last week, and I was planting my flowers and stuff, and just all of the different little things that just kept coming back to me about limiting beliefs, and and now it's in this book. So I'm like, whoa. And I think that does hold us back, and kind of what you were saying, that's who we are, and but we can fix that and we can change it, because I have a lot of things that my dad was a big influence on me, and now I don't need his approval anymore, but a lot of things that he said to me stuck, and those limiting beliefs, and so I had to rephrase those, burn that list, and now I believe it, anything, you know, is possible, and it's not our job to figure out how it's going to happen. Just, it's our job to vision it. That's it.
That was really good. Christy, you got anything?
Yeah, sorry, I'm a spastic mess today.
I keep using my mouse on this computer, and it's connected to my work computer. So I'm like, why isn't it moving? And then I'm looking at the other computer. I'm like, oh, that's why. So you're not alone.
I'm like, no, I've had a day with my child today, and I'm like, I need to just throw it all away. But no, like I kind of found it just kind of weird reading. Don't spill my wine. Actually reading both of these chapters. So my post from the other day, I was kind of tying that into like last week's chapters, but it's just kind of crazy how they all are literally all falling in together and all falling into place. You know, because I talked about you know, my flaw as like a serious overthinker. You know, I overthink things to the point where I literally go crazy. Quiet you. I have my boyfriend commentating over here. But you know, like, and I've found, like, I mean, even right away when we started dating, I right off the bat told him I was an overthinker. And it is like Sarah said, it's about embracing those things that you know, that you think that you're afraid of and are hindering you. And once you, like, it is what it says, once you embrace your flaws, nobody can use them against you. And that's, you know, I never used to live like that. Like, I came from a very toxic relationship where I was basically put down for every single flaw that I had, to the point where I literally believed all of that. And that's, you know, who I thought I was. And then just, you know, in doing all of the self-development and really learning how to embrace certain things about myself, getting uncomfortable with the things that I, you know, sometimes view as complete flaws of myself has kind of really just helped with growing. That was all over the place. Words are hard.
That's good though.
But I also in the other chapter, it was chapter 5. believing that anything is possible. I think I literally, like, I didn't even highlight, I literally just drew a line across the entire paragraph because it was her talking about where she coached a woman who had been married for 13 years, and all her husband did was just constantly like belittled any success that she had. And I lived like I literally laughed as I was reading it because it was like she was talking about me. And it's very hard to be in toxic environments and still try to allow yourself to grow and block it out. And I think right now, with everything that's going on in the world, like, this chapter was really, really, I mean, like, it spoke to what's going on in the world today. Like, everywhere you look, there's negativity, negativity, but you choose like she says, the energy that you're bringing into yourself. If you're not going to sit here and let it, consume you and flood your mind, you're fine. But don't don't let it consume everything about you. Yes.
Well,
right.
and sorry, no, I'm gonna add on to that because just like she said, like, it's good to live in a bubble at least part of the time. Like, we have to kind of like put our blinders on and block that negativity, because we are susceptible to all of that energy and all of that negativity. So we just kind of have to do that. And it's like another part where they said release the energy vampires. Like, we have to get rid of those people, no matter who they are. Spouses. like I've been there too, girl. Trust me.
Yeah. No,
parents.
I have, and I don't want to say it too loud, but unfortunately, I live with my parents, and my mother can be very toxic. And
so is mine.
It's very hard. It's very hard. So
I feel it.
And it is.
Yep,
And it's
got you.
Not like. And it's not like, in saying what they're portraying onto you most of the time has nothing to do with you. It's them and their unhappiness with themselves and their lives. And it's sometimes just very hard to separate that.
And the more you try to better your life, the more they get toxic. So in my speech or Zoom the other day, when I said you shrink your circle, I mean, I've gotten rid of a lot of relationships for that reason, which everybody does. But that's why, because those toxic people that are part of the problem, why you got to that point, especially in my situation, it gets worse. I mean, like, really degrading, mean stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, you're not going to get to me this time. But yeah, it's not fun sometimes, but you do kind of have to be in that little bubble. And like life is, I said that on my live today, life might be lonely at times, holiday times, you might spend time by yourself, but you're at peace and you're not dealing with that negativity.
I like the word too that she used, energy vampires, and I was like, yeah, that is very true. And like Chrissy was saying, during this time right now, there are so many energy vampires that are literally sucking out all of it. Whether it's you're sending your kids back to school, or you're keeping your kids home, or you're doing blended, no matter what your decision is, there is a lot of unfortunate energy vampires just sucking away, making any mom feel guilty. And it could be somebody that doesn't even have kids that are making moms feel guilty for any decision that's being made. And it's like that chapter, I was like, that is so apparent to what's going on right now. Because even when I told my dad that lives in New York, me and the kids are going back to school, I'm going back to work, they're going back to the school in the building. He's like, well, do you think that's a wise decision? Then he's flooding me every other text message with COVID numbers in Florida and blah, blah, blah. And granted, half those COVID numbers, he would be sending me stuff that's in Miami. I'm like, I'm nowhere near Miami. So he's like, it's still Florida. I was like, no, it's not. That's like talking about Staten Island in New York City. It's not the same. So that's kind of, so, and it's things like that, where people are just gonna suck out your energy. Me posting about the gym all the time. Oh, another gym selfie? Yeah. Yes, another gym selfie, and I'm gonna keep sharing it.
Yeah.
Like it, there's an unfollow button that you can go to. So, and just believing in yourself and just believing anything that you set yourself up for. So I'm kind of going to chapter 5 and then I'm going to work backwards. But she mentioned obviously, the power of attraction, talking about the book The Secret. If you have never read The Secret or watched it on Netflix, I believe it's still on Netflix, you need to watch that because it's very powerful. And then get the book The Magic, because it's a day-to-day where it's almost like helping you be grateful for certain things, like specific things, being grateful for,
Justine's got it.
Yep. Being thankful for money, being thankful for a bill that you pay, being thankful for certain people, thankful for your job or whatever the case may be. But, that power of attraction is so key. And, we don't think that it's really going to do something, but it truly does make a huge difference, because I will be very honest with you, because like for me this summer, where there wasn't the possibility that I was going to be having a classroom for the school year, I was going to be part-time, sporadic schedule at the school, which either way I was like, you know what, I have a job. So I was grateful regardless of what the decision was. But I spoke out every single day, even like, and we've been having a 21-day prayer and fasting at our church, but I spoke out every day. God, you have the classroom for me. You have the position for me. You know where you're going to put me for the school year. I believe it with all my heart. And I just kept saying it over and over again, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day. But I kept saying it. I kept thinking it in my mind, and I kept throwing that out there. And then lo and behold, yesterday, with me kind of asking them, because I saw my name on my kid's school schedule, and I was like, wait, is that a glitch? Like, did y'all accidentally type my name? And like 5 p.m. last night, they're like, yeah, so we gave you the position. Are you willing to accept the spot? I'm like, well, yeah. So today and like tomorrow, it's me kind of like gathering all the information I need to do for the next 2 days before we open up on Monday. But I spoke it out. I affirmed that. Even it even can tie into us, like when we run our business. Like I said, this book is good for personal as well as the business side of this. But when you speak out with confidence and don't doubt yourself, don't allow those negative people, because we get those people that they hear us talking about Thrive and they're like, oh, it's a scam. Oh, it's this. Oh, you're just one of those. You're going to encounter all of those people. But if you believe it with your mind, with your heart and your soul, and we all know how amazing these products are. But if you speak it out and you throw it out there, I'm going to help somebody today. I'm going to change someone's life today. They need this, and there doesn't have to be a name, but you can just think in your mind of, there is a woman out there or a guy out there that needs these products, that is feeling tired, and my post is going to make a difference. It may not be the post that day, may not be the post tomorrow, but if you continuously say, one of my posts is going to change their life, that person is going to reach out to me. When you continuously throw that out there, you are going to get those people. Like I had one, she's been friends with me for years. I didn't even think she was realizing what I was doing. And last week, she's like, so Thrive, like, hey, so like, how do I get this? And it's funny because she even has family members that sell Thrive. And she didn't go to them. So, and then I was like, all right, well, I can give you a mini experience, give her a 6-day mini experience. I kept a positive attitude. I checked it on her after the first day. She was getting ready to go to day 2. She's like, oh, I feel great, da-da-da-da. I was waiting until I was going to give her 2 days till I like reached out again about her samples. Not even day 3. She's like, okay, so what do I order? I was like, oh, I got flustered. I was like, oh, Well, if you want, like, I can send you the link, da 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 da. She's like, yeah, give it to me. And then, you know, with the confidence, I was like, so FYI, you run an auto ship, the price is gonna get cheaper. I was like, now it's not mandatory. You can always do X, Y, and Z. She's like, no, auto ship's fine. All right, give me the information. And then she's like, all right, order, thank you, bye. So when you speak out that firmness, whether, like I said, whether it's having a customer or having somebody run the business alongside with you, something as far as your job or opportunity, something with your kids, whatever it is, you know, you're going to see things take place. But if you have a little bit of doubt, or if you allow those energy vampires to suck your dreams away, it's not going to happen. And I think we at times forget that. We at times don't realize that sometimes things don't happen right away because we're still having doubt in our head. We're still thinking, I don't know if it's gonna work out. And you know, the one thing that she says, Kara says in the book is, you know, get over the crap you're afraid of. Don't allow that fear to consume you. If you believe in something, if you're passionate about something, it's gonna happen. It's gonna work out. You know, even with, you know, just other personal things that I'm speaking out and thinking about in my head, you know, the doubt can easily creep in and be like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna work out. But I have to be like, no, absolutely not. If I think that way, it's never gonna happen. So, and then like we create our own reality. So whatever we choose to create in our business, in our relationships, with our, as moms, whatever it is, whatever we choose to create is what's going to happen. So if we continuously create this fake facade that we're terrible mothers, guess what's gonna happen? Our kids are gonna be a hot mess and it's gonna be a disaster. But if we create the facade that, you know, I'm going to do the best job that I can be as a mom, regardless if they stumble and do da 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 da, that's how it's going to be. Something my church said the other night in our prayer service, instead of saying what if, how about using the word even if? So even if that person doesn't sign today, I at least showed them the opportunity. So it's almost like stop having the what if attitude, like, well, what if they don't buy? Instead of saying, even if they don't buy, I planted the seed. They'll eventually come back to me, you know. And if you believe that everything you want will come to you, you'll be unstoppable. And when she said that, I was like, yeah, that's true. Because I think we talk about our whys, we talked about our dream board, and then sometimes I think a lot of the times we don't believe that it's going to really come true. Because then, like I said, we start getting into that doubt, like, it's like, oh, I want to be able to pay off this credit card. Oh, but it's going to take a long time, and I'm probably not going to get another paycheck from Lavelle, or I'm not going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And we have to stop doing that. So there's that. So now I'm going backwards to chapter 4 about getting uncomfortable. This is probably the biggest one that we are always saying. All of the leaders, all of us always talk about is being uncomfortable. And the best thing that I love that she says is own who you are and love it. Own who you are, you know, and when we can accept all of ourselves, our quirkiness, our awkward moments, our word vomit, our fumbles, all of that stuff, then nobody can touch us. And the first thing to do sometimes is the thing that all of you fear the most, but you guys are doing a lot better, is going live. Some of you guys are some of you are so afraid to go live because you're like, I don't want to sound silly. Hey, guess what? I always sound silly. The other day, I was making my shake and I was shaking the Oreo creamer and it splattered literally all in my kitchen. I was like, all right, here we go. We're going to do this thing. I'm grabbing paper towels. I'm like yelling at the phone while I'm on live. I'm like, this is real life, guys. This is what's happening. Own it. own the hot mess express, own it. Like, and then I'm yelling because the dog started licking up on the floor. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't do that, there's chocolate. Own it, own who you are. That's even when I share, like I tell you guys all the time, when I share those TikTok videos, you have to, like, that is probably the most obnoxious thing that has ever been invented. And people think I probably should have a straitjacket, but I own that, and I'm like, take it for what it is. I was like, the right person's gonna love that because he's gonna think I'm so versatile because I lift weights and I'm funny. So that's really what it is. It's just doing things that you probably never would have thought to do. People are going to appreciate that. So that's why, like I said, I'll share lifting videos. I'll share some glamour pictures, not all the time because that's a lot of work for me. But then I'm gonna share my goofy side because that is who I am. And people are going to gravitate to that because they're gonna be like, okay, she's not trying to be perfect. And I think sometimes we think we have to be perfect because unfortunately we have two really beautiful leaders that just sometimes in our minds we find that they make going live or their makeup is just flawless and effortless. And sometimes I think the problem is a lot of you guys, and I was the same way, and I've known them for a long time. I've known them since high school, so do the math. But I think because we see that, we're like so intimidated and we're like, well, I can't do what Justin Shay do. I just want to sound and be as just glam as them. And that's when the reality is we are not them. We are us, and God created us all so unique. And we have to just own that and own all of us. And, you know, they tell us all the time how they feel like they don't always have it right. You know, we may think that, but that's why, too, you know, there's this thing of don't hold certain people to such a high pedestal because you'd be surprised what somebody might be feeling or going through in their head, or whatever it is that they're, whatever is going on in their mind. You know, one of the things you know, because I do worship at church, so I sing up on platform and there's a bunch of people on the audience that are watching. And so I'll go off stage and talking to people in the lobby, and they're all like, "Oh my gosh, like you guys were great. Oh, Ashley, you were awesome." And you know what I tell them? I'm like, they're like, "You look so effortless," and I'm like, you know what's going on in my mind? To not trip over these darn heels and like bust my face in front of all of you guys. I'm thinking about a burp that's about to come out, and I don't want to burp on the microphone. That's what's going on in my head. So like I'm telling them all of the things that they don't see. They're thinking that I don't look ridiculous. I'm thinking about all the sweat that's happening over my forehead. I'm thinking, can they see me perspiring? Is my shirt dark enough that they can't see the sweat stains and all of that? That's what's going on in my head. But they don't see that. So just own who you are. Own your flaws. Own the quirkiness. And just do it. Like when you go live, it doesn't have to be perfect. You may not remember all of the things about, you know, the shakes. You may forget a word. You may forget ultra micronized, or you might trip over saying it. Like it took me forever to say that. I still have a hard time when I say sculpt, and I'm talking about inch diminisher. I say it now, but if I go live, I'm like, your inches shrink. That's what happens. You may not have it all, you may have it played out in your head. You might have rehearsed it, everything. Like that's even any of us that do op lives. We could have rehearsed it in our heads. I could have rehearsed a team Zoom and been like, yeah, this is how it's gonna sound. Because I tell you right now, I practice everything. And sometimes it does not turn out how I practiced it. And that's a lot of people. Sometimes they're like, oh yeah, you know, I looked in the mirror, these were the hand motions I was gonna do, and it doesn't ever go according to plan. And that's all right. Just go with it. You just kind of have to go with the flow of what's happening. Sometimes like I'll go live to talk about a certain topic and then it veers off into something else. That's okay. You just roll with it. So I'm gonna challenge all of us to just really get uncomfortable. Whether it is going live that you may not normally do on Facebook, Christy, because I know you go live on Instagram sometimes, but I think you need to do more Facebook lives, but that's just me. The challenge is to get uncomfortable, whether it's you going live, whether it's you only doing pictures of here. It's time to do a full body picture. Stop just showing up here. This is not your whole body. There's some of y'all that only do from like the collarbone and up, and I'm like, where's the rest of their body? So it's time.
Does mine count today? The one I posted
I
today?
haven't looked at yours because I've been at work all day, but I'm gonna look.
Oh yeah, you need to look.
So I
Or
want to see more vulnerable photos. Even if you don't particularly like that picture, please share it. That's even like when you're showing transformation pictures. I
share.
know half the time some of y'all will show transformation pics, and I do that with quotation marks, but you don't show the nitty gritty of that transformation pic. Like when Jess shared her transformation pics from Ultimate Thriver, I can guarantee she was probably so uncomfortable showing her stomach the way it was. That is a lot of you guys right now thinking, I don't want to show that. We've all given birth to children. We've all birthed human beings. Our stomachs are not going to be how they looked at 16, unfortunately. I wish it did, but that's not the case anymore. That's why I look at these young girls and I'm like, I don't want to hear you have kids and then talk to me. So get uncomfortable. Honestly, get uncomfortable with a flaw that you don't like. And be like, hey, this has been my biggest insecurity, but now I'm like, yeah, I love it. Because for me, my insecurity was always my legs. I hated my legs and I hated my butt. But I'm going to make a post about it and be like, you know what? I like it now. Yeah, it's got cellulite, but it is what it is. But get uncomfortable with
Oh,
something.
you'll see cellulite on mine.
Huh?
I said, oh, you'll see cellulite on my picture.
Okay. But get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable with a post or going live about something. Get vulnerable. We talk about vulnerability a lot, and sometimes we're like, okay, sure, but you kind of almost like give the cookie cutter vulnerability. Really get deep with what it is that you want to talk about, because people appreciate that. There are people that are watching you day in and day out that probably, and I've said this too, sometimes the people that are watching you are not hitting like on your post. They're not commenting. You will have those that are very supportive and that will comment and share and do all those things. But sometimes the ones that are really paying attention and that are really, really digging deep to see, okay, is she the real deal? They're not hitting like. They're not responding. They're just watching. They may watch your stories and you'll know they're watching your stories, but they're not saying anything. So those are the ones that you really want to get deep with, that eventually you're going to get into your inbox and be like, you know, I truly appreciate your honesty. I appreciate what you put out, because it's happened.
You know, so I have to add to that too. When I first started with Lavelle and stuff, I watched a video and I think it was by Shay. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows. But one quote that stuck with me was, "You never know who needs you to show up." And it was just like, boom. Like, you know what I mean? It just like hit such a spot, and like I'm still struggling with showing up consistently, I guess, like in a raw, deep way, but I'm still learning and I'm trying, and that's what matters, that you keep like pushing yourself forward no matter what. So
And give yourself grace.
yes, absolutely.
Be patient with it. That's the beauty of this business, is that it's not a race. And I think because we sometimes see people that are hitting promos, hitting promotions, VIPs, bonuses, all that really fast, we start getting defeated. It's not a race. I've shared before, it took me over 8 months to hit 4K. I still haven't hit 12K yet, and that's fine. That's been over a year since I made the first rank. It's over a year since I haven't hit the second rank. Never going to happen? No. But the journey is worth it. And sometimes we still have a lot of work to do in here and in here before we even get to that rank. And you have to be okay with that. Sometimes I think people just want the success story, but not the work that entails in the success story. Okay, we got 1 minute and 30 seconds, so I need to wrap this
That
up.
was my whole point of my Zoom. I wanted to find out why I wasn't hitting or doing whatever. I was stuck emotionally, mentally, and all that.
Yeah. So that is our challenge, is to get uncomfortable. Get very uncomfortable. Get raw, dirty, all the gritty on both pages, not just your Facebook or not just your Instagram, on both.
I seem to get a lot of weirdos on Instagram. It's freaking me out.
Hmm?
I have a lot of weirdos on Instagram. It's freaking me out.
Block, BLOCK, because that's what I do.
What
That's
chapter
why I
should we?
filter all my stuff. So
Yeah.
just hit block. Just you delete their comment if they get weird, and then block it, because I don't have time for that. So this is less than a minute, and I don't want it to cut off on us. So I appreciate you ladies for hopping on. Like I said, I'll post this up on the page and all that jazz. But I hope you all have a good night, and thanks for hopping on. So we're gonna read chapters 6 and 7 for next week.
Okay.
And yeah, be ready. Be ready to share. So
Okay.
love y'all. Have a good night.
Love you too. Bye.
All right.